Pray, God, that you would send your Holy Spirit. Send your anointing that makes preaching easy. Send your anointing with all of this delivering power. Send your anointing in this place. In this place. Hallelujah. In your name, Jesus. In your name. There's something about your name. Come on now. Something about
yes, sir. Thank you.
Something about the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. Something about the name.
Something about the name.
It's just something.
Something about your name.
Hey, 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 hey.
Something about your name. Something about
Yeah, 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 yeah.
your name.
Your name.
Something about your name. Something about your name. It's the sweetest name
Yeah.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
It's the sweetest name I know. I know.
Yeah.
It's the sweetest name I know.
Come on, put your hands together. Hallelujah. Yeah, the sweetest name. Sweetest name. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My God. My God. Just for the next few minutes, I want to talk about what our church theme is when it says make disciples who will make disciples for kingdom building. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. I want to talk about discipleship.
Yes.
Discipleship. For the text says, then Jesus said unto his disciples, if, that's a big word.
That's right.
But he gives you the choice. If any man will come after me, you got to deny yourself. Take up your cross and follow me. That's a lot that he said we got to do to follow him. He says, first of all, if you come after me, because there's some that won't go after him, but if you come after me, you just can't come after me any old way.
That's right.
You got to deny
Yourself.
yourself. After you denied yourself, then the Lord says, take up your cross.
Yeah.
Take up your cross. We got to take up our cross daily.
Yes.
For all of us bear a different cross. But whatever your cross is, the Lord says you got to take it up and follow me. To follow Christ, you must sit down, count the cost. As you would before you undertake any major project. You must determine cost, time, and labor. Yes, it will cost you. You will have to deny yourself. Yes, it will take time. For the time that you have to put in, it is consuming. And labor, yes, because it will take a lot of work. And that's why you find in the church, people join the church.
Come on now, come on.
But they are not faithful to the church because they are not willing to take up their cross. They are not willing to deny themselves.
Come on, come on. Make it plain, make it plain, man.
Jesus knows what it will take and how difficult it will be for a person to follow after him and to serve him in his ministry. For Mark 8:34 and 35 says, whosoever desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Again, verse 35 says, for whoever desires to save his life,
Come on now, come on.
will lose it.
We'll lose it. That's right.
But whoever loses his life for my sake
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir.
and the gospel will save it. You, in other words, he said that you can't save your own life. If you try to save your life outside of following Christ and accepting him, you are fighting a losing battle. For he says you will lose it. But if you live for me, follow me, serve me, he said you will save your life.
Yes.
Would you, will you, are you a follower of Jesus Christ? Our text begs to ask and answer the question. It gives the basic price and qualifications for following Christ. You know, sometimes when we want people to do things for us, we will do whatever we have to do to sell them on the idea that we're trying to sell them on.
Yes, yes, yes.
We'll tell them what we think they want to hear until they get in it, and then they find out that it's not what you said it was going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
But Christ never watered down the requirements of discipleship. He never put it on sale at a bargain discount price, because he paid the ultimate price on Calvary.
Yes, yes.
Why would he who gave his life expect little from us when he gave so much? He deserves our best. And if we're going to follow him, we ought to give him our best. Even though Christ never put it on sale, it seems like we do just the opposite. We don't think about what it's going to take. We just look for rewards. But Jesus does not want any bandwagon, fair weather,
Come on, come on.
sunshiny disciples.
That's right, that's right.
See, Jesus needs some disciples that can get down. Yeah. You got to get down where the stuff really is sometimes. Huh? I ain't never, when you're messing with something that's dirty, you got to get down where you can get it clean, you can wash it. Nothing starts out up here. You got to work your way to the top. So Jesus said, I don't want nobody that just comes when the sun is shining. I don't want nobody that just comes when everything is going well and everybody is happy. But Jesus, I need some folks that when things is not going too well, you can still talk about the love of God. Yeah, we on the other hand, we look for rewards, and we don't talk about the hardship, the cost, and the responsibility of discipleship. That's why you find in many churches, people join the church and they come up and join the church and they get baptized the following week. Folks coming from the world need to be taught
That's right.
about discipleship and responsibility. You don't want nobody. You take the big corporation, they don't just take people off the street and put them behind a computer. You got to go through some training. The church is no different. But we want the church to operate on the lowest level possible. When we all want the church to operate in the higher echelon of how things are set up.
Yes. Preach it up. Come on.
We should want our church, we should want our Christian living to be at the top and not at the bottom.
That's right.
Yeah, when Jesus said, we don't talk about what we have to go through or what you will have to go through, he said, this kind of thinking results in spiritual dropouts.
Come on now.
How many of you know people that dropped out of school because they just couldn't cut school?
Well. Come on.
We used to have a high school I used to go to, we had a principal. His name was Mr. Moses. And he was as dark as those shoes Brother Rick got on.
Well.
And when the bell rings, he was standing in the hall, and sometimes the only thing you can see, he has some real white teeth. You can see his teeth down there. I'm not lying.
That's all right.
And after the bell ring and everybody get in class, he walks around and he finds out from the teacher who's not in class. He'll get in his car, and he would ride uptown, downtown, and through the street to see if he could see you on the street corner.
Yes, I remember those days.
And if he found you, some hurt was coming. But at least he cared enough to come and look for you. And that's all Jesus is really doing. Jesus is giving us of what it's going to take to be a disciple of his, so you don't start out and fall by the wayside.
Yes, sir.
Too many have dropped out of this race. Our text mentions 3 basic requirements to be a follower, to be a disciple of Christ, and a servant of our Lord. And all 3 requirements will be very hard on the flesh. The Apostle Paul said that we must crucify daily our flesh, because our flesh will be a hindrance to us. That's why when Jesus said deny yourself, he said you have to deny your fleshly desires. It is always our flesh that gets us in trouble and causes a problem in our service. The first point that Jesus makes is the selfishness in the requirement.
Come on.
To be a disciple of Christ, you got to be selfless.
That's right.
You can't have no I
All right.
in being a disciple of Christ. But Jesus said, let him deny himself. The first requirement hits us where it hurts. For we do not like to deny ourselves anything.
That's right, that's right.
But to follow Christ and to serve Christ requires that we deny ourselves and therefore submit wholly to the Lord's wishes. This is where many folks drop out. They do not want to deny themselves anything for spiritual matters. Try enlisting these people in service at the church, and they will refuse because it might inconvenience them or cause them to have to deny themselves some of their TV time.
Well, now. Step on some toes.
To hear these folks talk, it seems almost a crime to have to deny oneself of some legitimate pleasures in order to do some work at the church.
Yes.
But if you want to follow the Lord and serve Him, it is essential to deny self. Yes. On a Sunday afternoon, all of us would love to be able to go home after morning service, kick off our shoes, get in our chairs, watch football games and basketball games and westerns and whatever else you watch. We all would love to do that. But because we have a responsibility to the ministry of the church and to the ministry of Jesus Christ, we can't do that.
Say that again, Pastor.
You can't act like everybody else acts if you want to be a child of God. The second point that Jesus made is the suffering in the requirements. He said, take up your cross. And I'm glad he says, he makes it personal when he said, take up your. Because too many times we are trying to take up everybody else's cross and not worry about ours.
Preach it.
See, you can't live your life and somebody else's life because it takes you 6 months to mind your own business and 6 months to leave everybody else's business alone. How wonderful would the church be if we would just mind our own business?
Well,
Huh? We just busybodies. We dipping and dabbing in places we ought not dip. Huh? You add your 3 cents into the nickel when you ought to be quiet. See, if you're a real disciple of Christ, you ain't got time to be bothered with stuff like that.
That's right.
I ain't got time to be bothered with the argument you had with somebody last night, or you upset with this one and you upset with that. I ain't got time for that nonsense. You ought to send this stuff back to the pit of hell from which it belongs.
That's right.
Because if you're going to be a child of God, you got to be about your Father's business. The cross is our work, our task, our job. That is, the Lord gives those who would follow Him. The cross speaks of great suffering, mocking, blood, sweat, and tears. The cross is not peaches and cream, but it involves much suffering. This is something that few of God's people like to do. If suffering is involved, they opt out of the duty. If there's any suffering at all, don't call my name. If I got to do anything extra, don't call my name. Christ came to earth primarily to die on the cross of Calvary.
Yes, yes.
It was a very painful experience.
Yes.
He suffered much. Let me ask you, has anybody ever talked about you like they talked about Christ? Huh? Huh? He suffered much slander, beatings, injustice, blood and cruelty. But he did not dodge the cross because of the suffering he was to face. Sure, none of us like pain and hurt, but to carry our cross, sometimes it is par for the course. You can't live in this life without hurting some in some way or another. If you take up your cross to follow Christ, you're going to have some problems. If you say you're following Christ and the devil never taps you on the shoulder, maybe you better wonder, who am I following? If I don't have some storms in my life and some rain falling, then I need to wonder what's going on. Because it says in every life some rain must fall. And sometimes it don't fall when we want it. It falls when we least expect it, or we're so heavy already. And you say to yourself, Lord, what are you doing to me? I feel like I'm almost level to the ground.
Preaching.
But Jesus says, my grace is sufficient. I know what you're going through. I see it. But you ain't had enough yet. Huh? It's like cooking bread. You look at the bread and it's turning brown, but it didn't get brown yet. So you stick it back in the oven a little while longer until it turns nice and brown, and then you take it out because it's ready. The Lord does. He puts us in the oven of life. And sometimes he turned the oven up pretty hot. And we said to the Lord, I can't take no more. But when you say you can't take it, that's when the Lord gives you some more.
All right.
See, you can take anything when you know you got the Lord
Yes.
on your side.
That's right.
Jesus went to the cross in submission to God's will. If we would be followers of Jesus Christ and serve him faithfully, you will become acquainted with the cross and all of which it speaks of. When we look at the cross and remember what happened there, it should let us know that the essence of the cross should always be in our heart and on our mind. Think about when you know that you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. The cross ought to be in your mind. That what if Jesus had taken off the afternoon? What if Jesus had taken off the day that he was crucified? What if he had to come down off the cross just to save himself? What if
Come on.
he didn't have to hang there? He could have gotten off.
That's right. Go ahead.
He didn't have to hang there, but he did it for you and for me. And you gonna tell me that you can't sacrifice? You can't deny yourself to do the work of the Lord or do things that's going to enhance the body of Christ? You can't do that for him? You got to deny yourself. The third point, a Savior in the requirements. He says, follow me. There's nothing between follow and me. Huh? Can y'all see anything? Can y'all see anything between them? Huh? So why do we put stuff between follow and me?
Come on now.
Huh?
Teach
Preach
us.
it now.
Teach us.
Why do we put stuff where there is nothing? Follow me. But when it gets to follow, we stop and we start putting all of our insignificant personal things in there. And after we get all of that stuff in there, then we put the me. But let me tell you, you can't follow Jesus when you got more stuff going on in your life than Carter got Liverpool.
That's right.
But whatever you got going on, if you learn to follow me, he'll take care of all your other stuff.
Yes, yes.
When Jesus says, follow me, this means we are to be close to Jesus and devoted to him. What does it mean to be devoted to somebody? What does it mean? Huh? How devoted are you to who you call your best friend? How devoted are you? How devoted are you to your husband or to your wife or to your significant other? How devoted are you? It would be sad for Jesus to say you are more devoted to other things than you are to me. Because Jesus said, when I look for you, I can't find you. When I call you, you didn't answer. Well, let somebody call you on that phone. You could be 10 miles from home and you forgot that cell phone, you turn around and go back and get it. Because you can't live without your cell phone.
You know you preaching now.
Right? You gotta have it. What did you do? What did we do before we got cell phones? What did we do? Huh? The other night, we was at a banquet and Al Sharpton was the speaker. And he said that him and his daughters were sitting at the table. And his daughter sent him a text message. What are you going to eat? Sit right across the table from him, looking right at him. We have allowed this world to take our focus off of our God.
Say so, say so.
If we were as dedicated to God as we are to things,
Say.
imagine where your life would be, imagine where this world would be, if he was what we are devoted to. To follow Jesus faithfully, you must submit to his will. The Apostle Paul determined, he was determined, and he said, for me to live is Christ. I can't live without Christ. How can you make it without Christ? See, some people think they're living now, but we're living to live again.
That's right.
Some people are living to die and they think that's it. But I'm living to live again.
That's right.
Because to live, he said, for me to live is Christ. If you don't want to follow the Lord, you are not devoted to him and will not be his disciple. The price of being a disciple and a servant of the Lord is a high honor. I'm honored to be in the Lord's army. I'm proud to be in the Lord's army. I feel good that the Lord allowed me to be one of his foot soldiers. When I'm in a room of people that I don't know what's going on or what they're all about, I'm just glad to know who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to hide who I am to make anybody else happy. I'm never going to hide who I am
That's right.
to make anybody else feel good or not be insulted.
Well,